and welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast, bringing you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. I'm Ben, and as always, I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Conor. Before we begin, you can jump around the podcast by using the timestamps in the description below. Conor, have you brushed your teeth?
I mean, that seems like a very personal question. The answer is actually no.
So the reason I bring this up, I'm one of those weirdos that before I stream or record, I have to brush my teeth, and I don't know why. I don't know why. And like, you know, when you have new toothpaste and it's just weird and it feels weird in your mouth, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I needed to bring it up and share my pain with somebody else and the listeners, of course.
Well, now I need to clarify as to why I haven't, so people don't just think I'm gross. I've not been up for very long. I've been trying to look after myself properly over the last couple of weeks. Sort of get my meds sorted, get my head sorted, get myself dressing correctly, and I finally joined a gym. Well, it's like a full leisure center. It's got like badminton and squash and swimming pool and all that kind of stuff. So a couple of days ago, I went up there. For those of you who don't know, I suffer with chronic pain syndromes. So I've been stuck with that for the last decade. So exercise is quite hard for me. And all my physiotherapists and stuff like that were like, why don't you try aquarobics? And I'm like, that thing that old ladies do when they get a little bit overweight and don't want to do actual exercise. I'm like, yeah. That'll be good for you.
There goes half our listeners.
But it was actually a really intense workout.
Really? Okay.
Really? Because again, as much as like you're using the water to keep yourself buoyant and take the pressure off all your joints and stuff, you're then fighting against the water to do anything. So yeah, a fairly intense workout. And then yesterday I went up and actually did a gym workout, and I had a sort of private instructor speak to me because again, I had this gym induction and they were like, do you have any health problems that may cause issues? I was like, sit down, let me tell you.
How long have you got?
Yeah, it was pretty much. And he was like, okay, that sounds like, do me a favor, just don't pick up any weights. And I was like, that's fine. I wasn't intending to. And I sort of told him that I used to do parkour and I used to do rugby and things like that. Right. And when we did that, it was very much own body weight training. So you use your own body, you're doing pull-ups and chin-ups and stuff like that. That's kind of the weight training that you do. And he went, fantastic. We have all this gear that can allow you to do that. Here's a box, do press-ups on it, do squats on it. Here's a big like jungle gym thing that you can do your pull-ups on. Do a little circuit here, do it for half an hour, and I'll come back and see how dead you are. And I thought he was joking. And then 25 minutes in, I'm standing there going, I'm going to throw up on this, and it's not going to be pretty. And I just want to go home, and I want to sleep, and I want to cry, and everything hurts. And so I slept most of today, and no, I haven't had a chance to brush my teeth yet. Thank you very much for bringing that up. I appreciate it.
We will. Well, I'm not going to lie on it, but towards the end of that, I was like, this is like a really like heartwarming story of, you know, you taking control and, you know, you're sorting out your physical health. I completely forgot about the toothpaste thing. So thank you for reminding me on at the end, because I completely forgot.
Little steps at a time.
Yes, definitely. So we are, as of recording this, 48 hours, 2 days away from the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So can we get another hype check? How hyped are you? Was it an 8 last time?
I think it was like a 9.5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe my brain's done that thing where, you know, as you get closer to something, you're like, just don't worry about it. It'll be here. So there's no point getting hyped up or get yourself worked up about it. In fact, over the last couple of days, I started stressing about it because I knew how much work I'd have to do once the game actually came out. Because it's like 8-hour streams all weekend, plus trying to write scripts and get those sent over and recorded and sent over to Lewis before anybody else gets them out, which is definitely not going to happen, because I know full well that every other creator under the sun has either got the game early because they ordered through Amazon, has got the game early because Pokemon sent it to them, or has gone out their way to download the ROM, which we don't recommend here. Don't do that. But like, they're all ahead of me already. And I was sat here going, do I break my own rules? Do I break my own ethics and go and like look at all the leaks and download the game early? That thing that I've been fighting against all this time. just to be competitive in this niche that I found myself in YouTube?
Yeah.
Or do I just play the game when it comes out like a normal person?
And just enjoy it. Just enjoy the experience and the journey. And I get it, because like I get what you mean, because it's difficult, because part of me is thinking, okay, if you are going to grow even further, then everything is going to be Scarlet and Violet. So either you make the choice of you have to try and get out early in order to monopolize on that and hopefully beat out some of the competition, or you don't, and you run the risk of your videos just get caught up with everything else and everyone else creating content for it. And I learned this with Sword and Shield, where, you know, day of release, I was streaming it and I was getting the regular amount of viewers. Like, it didn't make a difference. However, if I'd have been playing it maybe 24 hours, 48 hours beforehand, like, probably more people would have jumped on and watched me. And it's the same for your theory videos. And it's probably the same for my challenge videos. I want to do a couple of challenge videos, probably solo runs of Scarlet and Violet. And I know exactly what's going to happen, because I'm going to be so far behind. I'm going to choose a Pokemon, get 3/4 of the way through the game, and then the next day I'll see a video going, can you beat Pokemon Scarlet and Violet using only a Fuecoco? And I'm like, well, what's the point? Well, yeah, that's my time wasted, unfortunately. So it's hard. It really is hard, especially when today on Twitter, because I've hardly been on Twitter, because I am trying to avoid spoilers, because I have had nothing spoilt for me. Ooh. Nothing, yeah. Outside of the trailers, which I don't consider them spoilers, but whatever. You do you. Like, I saw that, who was it? There was a big Pokemon content. John Stone, I think, already has, as of today, but the tweet might have been yesterday. I didn't look at the timestamp. He's already got the dual pack, and that puts him, 3 days ahead in terms of content creation? Like, that's massive. That's absolutely massive. That means instead of dropping, you know, a theory video or some kind of challenge video, you know, maybe the weekend of, he could potentially drop it on launch day.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
Huge. It's huge.
It's a very competitive space that we found ourselves in. And I did start thinking to myself, like, I never wanted to do this. This was not part of the plan when I started making videos during COVID, just to keep myself sane. I didn't want to be competing with other content creators. That was never what I had in mind. And it's almost, you kind of find yourself stuck in this little bubble of like, I cannot do it, but then I just don't see any results at all.
Yeah.
Or I can try and do it and push myself really hard to get things out really quickly and try and stay competitive. But the truth is, I just can't keep up with the people who can hire 5, 6, 7 different editors to get all these videos out.
Yeah. I completely understand. I mean, it is infuriating, the fact that I know I could pay someone and do the editing, so I just create it. Sorry, I just do the filming, record the script, and go, right, okay, over to you. You've got 48 hours to do it. The problem is, like, this is a hobby for me. I don't want to be putting money into something that I might not get money out of, especially considering I'm not monetized on YouTube yet, and any income I get is typically through donations or over on Twitch and people subscribing to me. But anything, it's just difficult. It really is just difficult to keep ahead of what you are doing and to kind of make the decisions that you think are right. I think you're absolutely, like, your theory videos are absolutely fantastic, although I haven't watched the latest one, mainly because I've got a horrible feeling you're probably right. And if you are right, I don't want to get to this amazing climax in Scarlet and Violet and go, oh yeah, this is what Conor told me. Like, I want to experience it and then go back and watch the video and go, okay, right, was he right? And, you know, how right were you? But like, it really is difficult. Like, a lot of my growth over the past 2 months has been content that I recorded 2 years ago. Like,
oh, really?
How does my Radical Red live stream series that I did the first time, back when Radical Red hadn't long been out, so it's not even like people are watching a recent Radical Red stream. They're watching something from about 2 years ago, and it's got something like 600 hours watch time, which I'm like, okay, this is great. I've gained something like 30 subscribers from it. Great. But how the heck do I like capitalize on this? Because I'm not doing Radical Red content on YouTube anymore. Suddenly when you start second guessing yourself and thinking, maybe people just want to see me do more challenging stuff, maybe, which made me go down the route of maybe I do more challenge videos. But they take so much time to record, write a script, record the audio, edit the audio, pull together the video, and get it out there. It's a massive job.
So do you remember it was like one of the first episodes we ever did of this podcast of saying like what got us into YouTube? And one of the first things we said, like our bit of advice for other creators is if you want to make a Pokemon channel, you better love it.
Oh, yes.
Because this is hard work and it will make you hate this game. There you go. Confirmed.
Right. Let's move on to the main couple of things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, we have not played the game. We can't really give a review or thoughts on it, but we do have a little bit of news to kick us off this week. Conor, do you want to tell us about what you want to talk about?
So the big news this week is Pokemon Trading Card Game Live has finally got a global beta. It is still in beta. The game is not finished technically, although it's an online game, so technically it'll never be finished. It'll always have updates and things like that. But you can still expect bugs and things. Now, any of you who have been following this story for a long time will know that Pokemon Live was a bit of a mess. It was not great when it first came out. It looked ugly. It played really poorly. They like squished the cards down when they were on the bench and things like that. It was not good. And the problem is there was such a limited user base. Yeah. And then a lot of those dropped off and went back to PTCGO that you just couldn't find games. It was not fantastic.
No. Okay.
They have addressed a lot of the issues that people brought up. The art style has changed. The layout of the board has changed. I'm pretty sure the flashbang has gone, as it was referred to as by Tricky Jim, which was whenever you pulled a prize card, there was just a big flashbang that went off in your face, like woohoo, you got a prize card, and it was really bright and really distracting.
Okay.
So they've adjusted a lot of that. You can now play Pokemon TCG Live wherever. It's on Android, it's on iOS, it's on PC, and it's now available worldwide.
So is it literally just a skin overhaul? So it is literally just a fresh coat of paint, or has there been any quality of life improvements, do you know?
So there is one great big improvement that I think the franchise has been needing for a long time. Which is, if you've ever played PTCGO, you've come across the trading system.
Oh, yes.
Because there's no microtransactions in the game. You're not allowed to buy cards. The only way to get cards is to go out and buy packs, get card codes.
I like that.
I like as well.
Yeah.
But you could either buy packs in games or you could buy packs in real life and put the codes in. And then the cards you had, you could take onto the trading boards and set up your trades. And you'd have to like track the market value of certain cards and you'd basically play in the stock market with digital cards. It was a nightmare, and it was really hard to get into and get good deals on things unless you really knew what you were doing.
Okay.
The other thing is as well was the ladder.
Yeah.
They didn't have a actual like ladder system. They didn't have like, oh, you're a gold player, you're a platinum player, you're a diamond player. You couldn't like rise up the ranks or anything like that. They just had the ladder where if you won so many games, you got to unlock packs and eventually a big prize card at the end.
Right.
But what would happen is people would go into games, they'd complete the challenges and just drop out.
Yeah.
Or if they looked like they were losing, they'd just scoop. They'd just scoop up the cards, end the game, just be like, I'm done playing now. So what ended up happening is you'd have lots of games where you'd start, people would see it's an unfavorable matchup and just dip. They'd just be like, I just don't want to play. Ugh. Because there was no downside to doing that. There was only an upside for winning. So you only played games that you were likely to win.
Ooh, okay.
So 2 big things that have changed in Pokemon Live is we have an actual ranked ladder now.
Okay.
So you have ranked mode where you can go up and down in ranks, which is great. That's going to create such a different atmosphere where people aren't just going to scoop up every 5 seconds. And the other thing is there's now, I'm going to refer to it as dusting because, I think the first one to do it was Hearthstone, where if you buy, you still know microtransactions, but if you buy packs in games or add codes into the game, as soon as you have more than 4 of any type of card, the card becomes dust. So you get a certain value of dust that you can then trade over to create other cards. There's no trading anymore. It's just using your own assets to build the decks you want. And it means that you can build these decks a lot faster.
Yes.
You can be competitive a lot quicker. And you can expect to see a lot more competitive decks on the ladder.
Okay. I absolutely love this because I went through a phase where I was playing the Pokemon TCG online and really, really enjoying it. I bought some physical packs to play with my daughter, so some of the pre-built decks. So I probably had about 8 or 9 decks built into Pokemon TCG. And they were great for just battling other people who were also using those type of decks. It works really well. I made the mistake once of going into a tournament that was basically a free-for-all. You could build your own deck, which meant that I straight away were coming across like, Crobat, VMAX, GMAX, whatever the heck they're called, and I got absolutely wiped. Like I was embarrassed with how shoddy my deck was. But on the flip side, I really couldn't be bothered having to really try and build one of these uber competitive decks, even though, the little cards that you get in the physical packs, I counted them a month or 2 ago. I have over 100 cards of a mix of single packs, decks, the tins that you buy and everything. And one of the reasons there's 2 reasons I've been holding off on it. One is, surely there's some kind of video I can create there with having so many. And the second was, okay, I really don't get how putting all these is going to benefit me if I'm just pulling a load of rubbish cards. However, with this dust mechanic that you've mentioned, because I used to love Hearthstone, great game until it got a little bit too much going on in terms of trying to keep up with the meta, so I eventually just bowed out of that. But I did like that kind of system where, excess cards weren't useless. They provided some kind of value. So suddenly those 100 cards that I've got that will enable me to get multiple Pokemon, I might have to spend an afternoon just plugging them all in just to get a load of dust to build some kind of decent team. And that might actually get me back into it because I do want to play with custom decks, but there's a lot of legwork that will go into, okay, what mons, sync well with other mons, like getting the balance right between mons, energy cards, and the support cards. Whereas just using a pre-built deck is really easy. They work most of the time as long as you are battling other people with pre-built decks. This might get me back into this, actually.
So, 2 big things to note.
Okay.
One is the decks you're now provided at the start of PTCG Live. You get a whole bunch, and they're not structure decks style. They're actual decks. Like, they're not full powered. They've not got 4 copies of some of the bigger cards, but they've got a lot of staple cards in them that will be used in every other deck. They've got a lot of powerful cards, even if they're just one-offs, that you can then add to later. So you've got the basis of something already there for you to play with.
Which is better than the original, where the starter decks you got
were garbage. And they were always
useless.
Garbage.
Yes.
Like, the only reason the starter decks and the structure decks were ever useful was because you could play against other structure decks.
Yeah.
Whereas the structure deck format is now kind of gone as far as the TCG is concerned. They moved on to V battle decks and things like that, which are a completely different level and not really... They're not good enough to be competitive, but they're not bad enough to be within the structure deck format. So it's a little bit odd. The other thing as well was you collected a lot of celebrations, right?
Oh, yes.
So, celebrations, remember how this dusting mechanic works. As soon as you have more than 4 of any card, everything else becomes dust. Now, depending on the rarity of that card, depending on whether it's a normal value, a rare, an ultra rare, a holo, reverse holo, all that kind of stuff, the dust value is different.
Okay.
Celebrations, there was only 24 cards in that entire pack.
There were, yeah.
And they were all holo rares.
Oh, okay.
So
the odds
the likelihood of you getting multiple sets of the same card is exponentially higher. Okay. And the value of each of those cards is very high as well. So if you want to have lots of dust to begin with, go and grab lots and lots of codes for Pokemon Celebrations.
Okay.
The other one, because that's going to dry up very quickly, the other option is Pokemon Go, which again was a mini set. There's not a lot of cards in there. It's worth picking up to get those. The only time when you're fishing for duplicates.
Yeah. Because like the physical, so I got back into the TCG when we were in lockdown. I had loads of disposable income, and I started collecting this Sword and Shield base deck. And to start with, it makes sense just to buy the packs, because if you can get them cheap enough on offer or whatever, you don't typically get many duplicates. But obviously, the more you build a deck or build what you need to complete the set, suddenly, you can buy card packs and you get all duplicates. They're useless. You've wasted money. And there's nothing with the physical cards you can really do with them other than maybe bundle them together and try and rip somebody else and flog them to them. The digital side doesn't have that. It doesn't have that downside. If you get duplicates, yes, you want so many duplicates if you're building a deck online, but then past that, they're not wasted. You can use it to get the cards that you want. I love this. I love this mechanic. So obviously we've spoken about the dusting mechanic, and they've got a kind of ladder mechanic, did you say, for ranking? What about tournaments? Do we know if they're still on it?
So as far as I'm aware, tournaments are still taking place in PTCG, which is the old client.
Yes.
And may do for some time. So there is an option when you boot up PTCG Live to migrate your cards. So if you have any unopened packs in PTCGO, they will decide whether you've got, like, I think it's something silly like 0 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 150 or something like that. I forget the exact values and I apologize. They will give you so much dust and stuff for them.
Okay.
And then any cards you have will move over. Anything over, any duplicates you have over 4 are just gone.
Right. Okay.
So you can migrate over, or you can start fresh. The thing is, you can migrate at any time. So my recommendation is pick up the game, if you want to, obviously. Pick up the game, play PTCG Live on its own for a little while, and then if you decide, no, this is the client for me, this is the only way I want to play this game, then consider migrating across.
Okay. Are we thinking this eventually, the live version, like the original version, is going to get phased out?
It's done. Yeah. No, this is the direction Pokemon want to go. This is their new client. This is what is intended to compete with the new Yu-Gi-Oh one. Is it Master Duel? Yu-Gi-Oh has.
I haven't got
this
a clue.
Is supposed to compete with MTG Arena and Hearthstone. Okay. I don't think it's up to the standards of any of those, if I'm honest. Like, they are gorgeous looking games. Yes. But at the same time, no microtransactions. So...
Yes.
Swings and roundabouts, really.
Yeah, it probably... I can't believe I'm saying this because the Pokemon Company is minted, but if not having microtransactions means that the coat of paint isn't as clean as some of the other games, I'm okay with that. I really am. I don't want... It was one of the issues with Hearthstone where it's like, to keep up with the meta, you basically had to start paying. They got to a point where it was like, yeah, you need to start paying money now, whether or not it's buying the card packs or there were like limited time events that you could get involved in, and playing through that meant you unlocked cards. But from what I remember, you couldn't earn enough points to get into every one of those, which meant that you were always losing out on on some cards. It's been a long time since I played it, so it's not fresh in my head, which was infuriating because the UI of Hearthstone and the way you played it was beautiful. Like having to drag the cards to attack and like the kind of combos where you're just dragging everything all over the place and setting things up. And the fact that, you know, while you're waiting for your opponent's turn, you could be like clicking on the board and the little things like would, you know, fire cannons, or you could turn on a waterfall or something. Just neat little additions like that. That I'm looking at Pokemon TCG Live now, and it doesn't seem to be that quality. It looks good enough. But obviously, the more people that jump in, the more people that enjoy this, the more likely that they're going to continue to develop and update it and change it. And let's be honest with you, the original TCG Online needed an update. I played that again about 2-3 years ago, downloaded it, thought, I wonder what's changed, logged in, I just remember thinking, oh, it's exactly the same as I left it, to the point where, honestly, my first thought was, I'm going to try and connect online, and it's going to go, now you've got an old version of this game, you know, you've got one that's 10 years out of date, what you doing? And no, playing against other people in the tournament, and I just could not believe that it hadn't been updated in so long, to the point where it still had the kind of like 2D cartoony pictures of the avatars.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's 3D avatars now.
Yes,
they are nightmare fuel.
Yeah, they don't look. I mean, I don't like the cartoons from the original, the anime style cartoons. I'm not sure I like the 3D models either, to be quite honest with you. They're interesting, to say the least.
It was a choice that got made. It's not one I agree with.
That's one way to say it, isn't it? So, I will be picking this up. I want to give it a try. Is it just something that you can literally just download?
Yep. Download and install on, as I say, iOS, Android, or your PC.
I am going to be all over that. Shall we move on to the main topic, maybe? Pokemon Scarlet and Violet?
Yeah. I mean, there's no news this week other than the fact that, you know, game comes out. So we just thought we'd cover the last couple of questions that we had, like they're still burning in the back of our mind, as well as possibly what our teams may look like.
Yeah. Should we start with the teams first?
Let's do it. Have you got yours set?
So
if you go through the 6, and then we'll go back and go over why you.
Okay. So yes, I've got my 6, but this might change. I might just end up in roaming around and going, I want that Pokemon. Never seen that Pokemon before. I want it. So, excuse me. And so, starter, I'm still undecided. I say undecided on. I'm getting Fuecoco. But in an ideal world, I want Quaxley as well. But Pokemon Home isn't available, which would rely on me trading. So I don't. I think my community is quite nice, and I might be able to get both Fuecoco and Quaxley. I really don't care about the grass cat. I'm not a cat person at all. But in an ideal world, two of the three starters are on my team straight off the bat.
Okay.
Up next, Ceruledge. Yes, I know there's some cover. Like I've got 2 fire types there, but like Ceruledge looks amazing. It looks fantastic. And then my next Pokemon, again, I'm doubling up on typings, which I don't normally do, but this is a team based on they look quirky and cool. Gimme Ghoul. Like, I actually want the chest form so bad. I love it. I don't know what. I think it's just shiny. I think that's what attracts me to it. It's just a shiny, beautiful looking chest. I can't believe I'm saying this. Wooper, the Paldean version. I want this mon because I cannot wait to see what Quagsire looks like. I'm a bit good because I do like Quagsire, normal Quagsire. However, it gets outclassed in every way by Swampert. So I'm looking forward to having it.
A ground poison type instead.
Yes. And then finally Fido, because who doesn't love a fairy dog Pokemon?
That's fair. It's a good squad. A little bit of type overlap there for me, for my own necking.
Go on.
But it's a squad.
Okay, it is. What about yours?
At the moment, my starter is Sprigatito. So I am a fan of Grass Cat. I think it looks adorable, and I have mentioned many times how its little expressions during the cutscenes are great.
Yeah.
Secondly, Grievard.
Yeah, I get that.
Big old ghost doggo. Got to be done. I can't wait to see this thing evolve. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, yes.
Fido. I've brought up a couple of times that I'm not the biggest fan of Fido. I think its nose is the wrong color. I don't like the fact that it's squishy and wet. That makes me feel a little bit gross. But I feel like it's going to evolve into something great. If it's anything like Yamper, its evolved form will be nothing like its pre-evolved form, and we could just have a very nice fairy dog.
Yeah, I get that.
Grafai on the team. I love its punk aesthetic. I love that skull-faced gas mask thing it's got going on.
Oh,
I love its hoodie. I love its little fringe sticking out. It's amazing. And it's still one of my favorite theory videos that Grafai was in. Was like, oh, could we possibly have like Pokemon actually interacting with the environment and with each other and things like that?
Yeah.
So it has to be on the team. Armarouge, it's really annoying. I really wanted Ceruledge, but Ceruledge is fire ghost type. I already have Grievard, so Armarouge it is, because it's fire psychic instead, and there's no overlap there. And the last Pokemon, this might be a stretch, but I want the Great Tusk. I want past form Donphan. I don't know if we can get it. I don't know when we can get it, but I want it. And I decided to add it into my team just in case.
I understand that. I get that. So, do you think they are just randomly roaming around, or it's a Donphan you can evolve, or do you think it's a bit like Clorf? It's one of the Titan Pokemon.
You asked me not to. You told me you weren't going to watch my video because you didn't want to find out if I was right or not.
I haven't. So is that have I just like...
That's basically what the video is about, yeah.
Oh, is it?
Where we will find the Great Tusk Pokemon and win.
Oh, okay. I'm still not going to watch the video, though. Not yet. If I'm coming into this and I'm guessing things right, I'm happy. Conor, I love you. I love your videos. I don't want to risk just having things taken away from me. But
that's fair.
So the Donphan evolution, the Great Tusk.
I don't think it's an evolution.
Do you not?
No, I think it's a variant. Effectively, I think it's like a past variant and a future variant.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's an evolution at all.
I can understand that, actually. That does make sense, because over time, Pokemon would just evolve. And I don't mean like how they evolve in the games, but they would change.
We've already seen it with Hisuian Pokemon.
We have, yes, actually. Good point.
So, yay.
Okay, so your Pokemon, was there any that you didn't explain why you're choosing them?
Not really. I mean, there's the cat, there's the knight, there's the dog, the monkey.
The monkey. What was the last one?
And the Donphan.
That was it. I'm still convinced, Grievard, we are getting Cerberus-esque third form evolution, like Hydreigon. So. Like, why would we not? Like, that surely that's what we're getting, but I guess we shall see. So, is this team set in stone?
Oh, absolutely not. These are the only Pokemon we've had access to currently.
Yeah.
So that's what the team is based off of. I will no doubt. I've got 200 Pokeballs at the start of my game because I bought the double pack. So I get to run around and just be like, ooh, look at that. Mine. Ooh, look at that. Mine. I'm going to go in this game.
Yes. Yeah, just catching absolutely everything and anything. And this is the perfect game for me, because even if I'm not streaming, and because I'm going to stream and progress the story on stream, but there's so much I'm going to be able to do when I'm not streaming. So I don't have to go, I've just finished a stream, I've got to wait like 3 or 4 days before I can stream it again, and I can't do anything. This is the perfect game like Legends Arceus, where I can go out and catch, I can go out and level up, I can go out and get items and, find rare Pokemon, terrestrialized Pokemon. I cannot wait. But I still have questions, as I'm sure you do as well.
But of course.
So, have you got any burning questions that you just need the answer
to? Can I do the story with multiplayer?
Yes.
That's it. That's it for me. I don't care about anything else at this point.
Yeah.
Just want to know if I can do the story with my friends and like run in and do a big raid on a Team Star base with all my pals and just wreck shop. Can I do it?
Agreed. And funnily enough, my number one thing that I've got here is functionality and limitations of multiplayer. There are honestly, I thought we would get a multiplayer overview of some kind that delved deeper into what you can do, especially considering we have seen other online multiplayer games where it's almost built around the multiplayer. There's a lot you can do in the multiplayer where it's all about, oh, you want to go on this mission? You can bring along your friends with you. I still don't think we're getting that, but I hope I'm proved wrong. I hope that it is a case of, oh, you want to take on this Titan Pokemon? Yeah, you can try and do it on your own, but maybe it's easier if you team up with friends. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. My second thing that I kind of want to know is egg hatching. They've confirmed that you can mysteriously find eggs when you are doing the picnic, but they still haven't confirmed if this is the only way or is it just an addition to the typical breeding mechanic that is done via the daycare center.
I hope it's an addition. I hope this isn't the only way to breed, because like that's a 1 in 6 chance, or if you invite your friends over, a 1 in 12 chance of getting the right Pokemon egg.
Yeah, it's not great, and I'm sure there will be methods to increase the odds and get what you want. However,
like if it's an additional method with like increased shiny odds,
yes,
or an easier way to get like egg moves on the Pokemon and stuff like that, fair, absolutely okay with it. But if it's the only way to breed, not sure about that one.
I'm not. They would have to, if it was the only way, there would have to be ways to improve odds, whether or not it is, creating certain types of food or having the right type of Pokemon, or I don't know, some kind of functionality that where at the start it feels, oh, this is really unfair and random, but then it's actually, the mechanic is quite deep. And it's like, okay, if you have the right items or you do the right things, then you are more likely to get the Pokemon that you want with the better EVs, the better abilities, the better moves, more likely to be a shiny. We shall wait and see. The next big one for me, level scaling. I don't think that's a shock or a surprise. I want to know if and how.
This is one that I have heard confirmed by someone who has the game early. Okay. I don't know whether people consider that a spoiler or not, because it's not been officially announced.
Okay.
It has come from people who have played the game early, but we have had that answered.
Okay. If I want to know, and I'm sure other people might want to know, if you don't want to know, skip ahead by about, 60 seconds?
Yeah. No level scaling for the gyms.
What a shock. That's it's disappointing. The fact that, when did Silver and Gold and Heart Gold and Soul Silver come out and they didn't have level scaling, and we're still here? We're still not implementing that? I don't get it. I really do not get it.
I don't know how you can have an open world game without it.
No,
honestly.
I don't. I'm not surprised by that answer. I think.
But we're now going to move on as if it was never said.
We're now going to move on. Exactly. So, differences between the two games, other than Professors and version exclusive Pokemon. There's got to be more. There's
sure. Again, you don't want to watch my videos, so right. So we know, right? Okay, so we know the Scarlet and Violet book are different. We know you're going to get different. In one game, you're going to get the past form of Pokemon. In one game, you're going to get the future form of Pokemon.
Yes.
I think that's going to be tied to story. I think finding them is going to be a whole story event, and I think it actually might be post-game.
Okay, right.
Which would mean that the two games effectively have completely different post-games.
That's massive. If they do that,
that's a hope.
Yeah, that would be massive. Because then so most Pokemon games, I don't buy both versions. I don't believe you should buy both versions for the most part. Some people might have the money, or they might go, you know what, Sword and Shield, there's different gym leaders. I want to experience that. That is enough for me to warrant getting both of them. It's not for me, and that's just a personal preference.
Yeah, there weren't really different gyms. That was really sad. That like Melanie and Gordy's gyms are exactly the same. One's just in sand, and the other one's in snow.
So it wasn't like it was a completely different experience. It was just you start to do the same puzzle.
It's just different coating.
Yes, pretty much. Which is why it wasn't enough to justify it for me. However, if you're telling me that, okay, not only are the professors different, potentially that impacts on the story post-game, like suddenly I'm there thinking, maybe I should have bought both of those games. Maybe. I guess we'll wait and see. This is the first Pokemon game where I've thought, oh, maybe I do want both of them, but I'm gonna hold off for now until I've at least completed Scarlet, and then I'll go from there. Violet, sorry, and then go from there.
Fair enough. I mean, I've bought both games already, so and my mate. In fact, not only have I bought both games, two of my mates, so Lewis has bought Scarlet, and my other friend who lives around the corner from me has bought, no, other way around. Lewis bought Violet, and my mate around the corner from me has bought Scarlet. She didn't even have a Switch. She just decided, you know what, I want this. I'm going to go buy a Switch and Pokemon Scarlet day of release.
That's dedication. Wow. Are they getting the one that's like a custom decal or whatever it is? No. Oh.
There was the question, and then realized like the price difference. It's like, well, why is this Switch better? It's like, because it's got a bigger screen, it's OLED, and it has an Ethernet port. And she's like, I'm only going to play it on my TV. I was like, well, just get a normal Switch then.
Just get that. That's all you need.
Save yourself 60 quid and just get a normal Switch.
And the normal Switch, still a great console, in my opinion. It gets more use than any other console or PC that I have in the house. Love it.
It's the only console in my house.
I don't think you can go wrong with that. It's a fantastic console. Another question I have is status conditions. Are we bringing over any of the mechanics from Pokemon Legends Arceus?
So dropping sleep for drowsy and dropping frozen for frostbite.
Drowsy, I'm not fussed about. That for me felt like sleep was the one that I don't think needed a change, but I did love the frostbite mechanic. I think it was frostbite, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how like burn lowers physical attack. There's now something that lowers special, and freeze and sleep function in a similar way anyway. In terms of you can't act, and after so many turns, you either wake up or you're thaw out. So for me, I was like, those two are kind of similar. Don't really need both of them. So I'm happy with how they changed it to frostbite, personally.
See, it's interesting because frozen is one of the most busted mechanics, and I'm surprised it's lasted in Pokemon as long as it has. The idea that every single turn you have, well, I can't remember what the percentage chance is, but it rolls over every single turn. It's not like, oh, I've been frozen for 5 turns. I guess next turn I will unfreeze. It's no, you still have a chance.
Yeah.
And we'll continue. You can be frozen indefinitely if you just roll really badly. Sleep is a difficult one because on one hand, it's not busted, but on the other hand, it's busted enough that singles players have to invent a whole different rule that you can't put all your opponent's Pokemon to sleep.
Yeah, I get that.
So, like, if we're going to get rid of 2, those are the 2 to get rid of.
Yeah, I get that. Do you think they will?
I'm not sure. Very possibly.
I'm just confused more than anything. It feels more and more like Legends Arceus was just okay, instead of making slight little tweaks like we normally do every generation and maybe rolling them back in the following one, Legends Arceus was almost like, you know what? This isn't one of the main generation games. If you've got an idea, let's discuss it. Let's throw it on the board. Let's see what sticks. Some of it did, some of it didn't. There's a lot I loved about that. There was a hell of a lot more I loved about Legends Arceus than I didn't like. I'm just wondering what, if anything, they will be pulling from that iteration of Pokemon into Gen 9.
See, I'll tell you the one issue I have is that sleep doesn't seem overpowered to me. Drowsy seems underpowered.
Agreed. Yeah, the first time...
The fact that you can rest and only possibly have a negative side effect.
Yeah, it's not...
I'm not... Yeah. Drowsy, I don't think is balanced correctly.
Agreed.
In my personal opinion.
Yeah, and like what I do like about sleep is that it can be used offensively, i.e., okay, Spore, I'm putting my opponent to sleep, which means I'm probably guaranteed a couple of turns to do something else. But what I also like about sleep is you can use it defensively. So rest coupled with an item or snore or whatever it might be. So you can use it where, okay, I'm low on HP, I'll rest, my berry pops, I wake up, okay, I'm back in the fight. Like, I love the fact that sleep can be used either way. Drowsy, for me, I was like, I don't get why this one was changed, but again, was it them just going, you know what? If we're gonna experiment in a game, it's got to be this one. Let's just see how it plays out. But I completely think you are right that the drowsy states just didn't. It was really lackluster. Like, I remember the first time I saw Frostbite, I was like, "Oh wow, this is great. This makes sense. I love it." And the first time I tried to put Pokemon to sleep to catch it, and it became drowsy, I was like, "Wait, what?" And then it was attacking me anyway, and it just really threw me through the loop. And my first thought was, what's the point in putting Pokemon to sleep?
Yeah,
like,
I get that.
So yeah. The last question is, are they bringing across any quality of life? It's kind of tied in with the last one, actually. Are they bringing along any quality of life fixes from the previous couple of games, such as manual evolution, which I don't think is a thing. I think that's been confirmed, has it? That manual evolution isn't a thing. It's automatic like it used to be.
Not sure, because it's in the overworld. So they are bringing over the idea that you can relearn moves on the fly.
Great.
You don't need to go to a move relearner. You just open up your menu, click a Pokemon, and change its move set out to anything it's known previously.
Spot on.
So I can only imagine that evolution will be the same, but I'm not sure on that one. I feel like the same as you said. There's somewhere that we read otherwise, but I don't remember.
It's in the back of my mind that I think it is automatic, but I might be wrong. Is there anything else that you're unsure on? I've blasted through my list.
No, nothing off the top of my head. I think they've done a really good job of, introducing us to a whole bunch of stuff, giving us enough information on it, and then nothing more.
Yeah. Agreed. They could have gone like so many other companies do with trailers where by the time you buy and play the game, you
know what it is.
Yeah, it kind of takes the fun out of it. What I am looking forward to with this is that, like I've mentioned previously, they have kind of given you the bare bones of, this is the first Titan Pokemon, this is the first Star Path Road or whatever it's called, this is the first gym, gives you a bit of an overview of the main mechanics, and then everything else is going to be a surprise for you. So I hope you enjoy it. So I love the fact that even if, fair play if you've avoided the trailers and you are truly going into this blind,
But if that's the case, you're not listening to this podcast anyway.
I should imagine not, actually. Yeah, good point.
All things considered.
Yeah, I know, right? People are just downloading our podcast but not listening to it. But the fact that they haven't spoilt and revealed things is a credit to them, a real credit, and they do deserve a pat on the back for that, in my opinion.
It's just a shame that the whole game leaked anyway. Put that aside.
That aside, are you ready to move on to the next segment?
Let's do it. You're really looking forward to this week, aren't you?
I am, yeah. So this has been long overdue. It has been a while since I watched these episodes, but they are relatively fresh in my mind. So the first episode that we're going to talk about is episode 16, Absol Absolved. We're back over in the Hoenn region, and a character that I thought was a done and dusted one-time wonder, Hodge in his Harry armor, are back.
Yeah, I was really happy to see him back because I like his character design.
Yes,
and really I love that they introduce his uncle as So, did you pick up on the fact that he is supposed to be a school? He's what do you call it? Not a school bully, but a delinquent.
Miscreant, is it? Or something like that. Delinquent also works.
Yeah, he's got the ripped jeans down the bottom. He's got the big hair. He's got the sharp teeth and stuff like that. These are all he's got his school uniform on, but it's unbuttoned at the front. He's coded to be a Japanese delinquent.
Yeah.
And I love his character. I love the way he's portrayed in this to just like counteract that initial impression that he gives off.
Agreed. It was a shock in the first time we saw him where, I think we said you see him and you think, I know exactly who this character is. And he's not. He is just a really nice person who's, he's up for a good Pokemon battle. And in this, it's another episode where, like, in another series, his design, he might have been the antagonist in this episode. He might have been the one who had all the personalities of his uncle that matched the physical appearance and what you would expect from someone that looked like that, the character and the way he was designed. I love the fact that, he respects Ash and Go. So when they turn up trying to fix this issue, he, of course, wants to help them. He wants to figure it out. Whereas his uncle wants to... I'm trying to remember what his uncle wants to do.
He wants to hunt down Absol, basically.
That's it. Yeah,
because there's a tablet in town that suggests that Absol brings disasters. And that story has been passed down for generations. And they think in the old way.
They do. With their pitchforks and torches. So... yeah, the one of the notes I've got here that like the uncle refuses to give Ash and Go a chance to track down Absol, and Hodge backs them up. And
no, they got this. You ain't seen them.
Yeah, exactly. Like he puts his trust in him. And what I love about that is that like it's difficult to stand up to people. It's typically more difficult to stand up to friends and family, in my opinion and experience. So I love the fact that Hodge breaks that and goes, nah, like, uncle, just give us a chance. Let's have a go with this. So of course they go out.
Again, you talk about coding and stuff for characters. Like his uncle is clearly supposed to be like an old boy. Like he was maybe not Yakuza, but he was a gang leader of some sorts. He commands respect across the town.
Yeah.
And like that's why Hodge dresses and acts the way he does, because that's kind of the family he lives in. And you kind of get that impression that his uncle has command over the other members or the other men in the town, and what he says goes and things like that. So to stand up to someone like that is huge.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. So they managed to find it. Of course, the music kicks in, and the way the music plays is it kind of implies that Absol is the bad guy, and it's backed up by Absol just attacking the party. Does
he attack the party?
Fun?
Or does he attack the trees?
Does he attack? It's been that long. I don't know. What's the answer to that?
So Absol like swings his head back and forth to get him to back up, and then cuts the trees down and drops them in front of him to block their path.
Okay. See, I knew it was obvious that like Absol's not there trying to cause trouble. He's obviously trying to stop them from reaching the summit. But me remembering back, I thought he attacked the party. But
yeah, he always when it does attack, it attacks right in front of them.
Okay,
is it as a like backup?
Yes. Okay, I like that. What I also like about it is Go's prepared again. Brings Trapinch to dig and explore, which in theory is a good idea until like Trapinch goes underground and realizes it's extremely cold in the area as a result of the pipes being frozen.
Yeah, so the whole story is they need the reason people are wound up about Absol is because the hot springs have stopped running. They think Absol has brought a disaster. Turns out the whole area is frozen over, and the whole area is frozen over because a bunch of Glalie have moved in.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of Glalie have moved in because a snow runt got lost here atop Mount Chimney. Which is
adorable.
Really, very cute.
Like, the Pokemon are taking care, like, because in the Pokemon's opinion, they've done nothing wrong. All they've done is, we're going to take care of this Pokemon. Like, that, and wouldn't you? Like, wouldn't you take care of somebody else if they just appeared, and you might not think of the consequences? And just as Go is about to do his thing and start catching Pokemon, guess who turns up again? The Absol. So obviously Go again. Go uses his smarts quite a lot in this, actually, because he's
very good. He is the right person for this episode.
Agreed. Yeah. So he uses smarts, checks the monument. Monument, the right word, against the
tablet.
The tablet. That's it. Against what is happening in the current day, and he explains how the eruption happened and wants to resolve the issue. I'm trying to remember what happens at this point. So I've got a note here. Cinderace kicks Absol in its Pokeball to go. Did that happen?
Right. So what happens is Go figures out that, because he tries to catch Snorunt initially.
Yes.
Because he's like, well, if we get rid of the Snorunt, then the Glalie will leave and everything will be fine. Absol shows up, starts attacking him again. Go immediately. His initial thought is, oh, maybe Absol is evil somehow. Maybe it is a dark type. Maybe it is out for no good. Rings up Hodge. Is like, Hodge, I need you to have a look at the tablet for me. See if there's anything else here. See if there's anything we're missing. Hodge has a look at it and realizes it's like, oh yeah, it does seem like Mount Chimney froze over. But then there's Absol down here, and then Mount Chimney erupts. And it's like, right, okay, so if the Snorunt and the Glalie leave, the ice will melt too quickly, the steam will build up underground, and there will be an eruption. So that's what we need to avoid. He communicates that to Absol. They go up to Mount Chimney, and they basically figure out that if they shift one of the rocks, they can let off the steam in a small dose so it won't cause an eruption once the Glalie leave. They start trying it. Really wound me up here because, sure, Cinderace is using Pyro Ball, even though it has access to Double Kick, which has been shown to break rocks before. Pikachu's using Thunderbolt instead of Iron Tail, which has been shown to break rocks before. He has access to Surfetched, who spent literally the whole time we've known it breaking freaking rocks. But no, we're going to use Pyro Ball and Thunderbolt here. Eventually, Absol shows up, sees what they're doing, helps out. Steam gets erupted. Unfortunately, Absol had to headbutt it to break the rock eventually to release the steam. Go realizes that Absol's going to get caught up in the steam blast, throws a Pokeball, and the Pokeball gets caught in the steam and becomes red hot. Go catches Absol. Cinderace goes over, kicks the ball over. It's kicks it up a couple of times in the air until it cools down, and then kicks it over to Go. And Go is like, okay, Absol, I only caught you to kind of save your life. You can go now. That's fine. If you want to be free, no harm, no foul. I just wanted to save your life, and this is how I do that.
Yes.
And Absol's like, nah, bro, that's cool. I got you.
Yeah.
And goes with him. Go got a new Pokemon.
And another new Pokemon in a similar way that he's caught a few others. So Suicune, I completely forgot that he has a Suicune of all Mons. He's building up quite a team here, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so. The thing is, if he was interested in battling, he would be terrifying.
He would. He actually would. Which makes me wonder where, because he's as we said, his whole thing is he wants to catch Mew. He wants to catch every Pokemon. He wants to catch Mew. Which, let's say he does that. What then? What would he want to do? And I don't think this is ever going to get addressed in this series. I don't think Go is going to be the type of he accomplishes his goal in the show. But it does make you wonder, if he did that, would he then go into competitive battling? Would that be something he'd want to do? Because he has been shown that while he's still quite raw and fresh, there's something to him. His Pokemon trust him. So would he be a good trainer? Will we ever find out?
I think it's interesting because Go's caught enough Pokemon now who in themselves are interested in battling.
Yes.
His Scizor is a battler. His Heracross is a battler.
Yeah.
He's got a couple in there now who are yeah, I'm well up for fighting. So it'd be interesting to see if he ever went down that route. I don't think he will as long as Ash is part of the series.
Yes, definitely.
Whether they decide to take Ash out for the Paldea series and just focus on Go going forward, we'll have to find out. But yeah.
Very good. Should we move on to the next episode? This is the one that I'm really excited to talk about.
This is the one you're excited for. Go on then.
Episode 17, Thrash of the Titans. We're off to Univir to battle Iris. That is the whole episode. It's a battle episode. It's something that I think over the last couple of weeks I've been a bit disappointed where we've had a lot of Go-centric episodes and Chloe-centric episodes, but Ash has kind of fallen away, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we managed to get an episode and we managed to get a battle that is against someone who I know was in the anime in the past as she was either a recurring or she was on the team.
She was a companion.
She was traveling. Companion, right, okay. So it loses a bit for me. I'm sure it would mean more to somebody watching this who's seen... What's up?
So right, you never watched Best Wishes.
No, what's
Lucky
that?
you!
Why? What's this? Oh, tell me.
It's garbage. It was so bad. And you know what? Iris was one of the reasons why it was bad. Iris was a brat. Back in Best Wishes, she was horrendous to put up with. She would constantly call Ash a little kid and scream at him and shout at him and tell him he's worthless and stuff like that.
Okay.
Even though she was just as bad.
Yeah.
She was great in this episode.
Right. That was going to be my next question because, like, there wasn't anything about her in this episode that made me think, oh, like, she's a bit difficult to take or she's annoying. She seemed very mature for someone who is probably about the same age as Ash?
Yeah. There's one little hint of it in this where she calls Ash a kid and he's like, you're a kid too. And I'm like, oh, right. But like, it's 10 seconds. Whereas that was her whole character back in Best Wishes.
Right.
Like, I hated Iris and I was not looking forward to her coming back when I saw her in the opening title.
Yeah.
But she's fantastic in this.
Great. Okay. I'm glad. I'm glad. So apparently Iris is the reigning champ in Univers. Like in Black and White 2. That's it. So straight away I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be interesting. Like Ash hasn't fought in a while. Is he going to win or lose? And like what I loved about this is the interactions between some of the Pokemon fighting. The fact that straight off the bat we get Dragonite versus Dragonite, and like these two Dragonite couldn't be further apart in terms of personalities. Like you get that split screen where it shows Ash's Dragonite's all like lovey-dovey and Iris's Dragonite just is full of rage. Like its face is all screwed up with like rage lines, for lack of a better word. And I just love like the show can show that two Pokemon of the same species are not the same Pokemon. They have their own personalities. They are their own individual things. Absolutely love it. My first
context,
go on.
If I can, Iris's Dragonite was one of the things that brought Charizard back into the franchise. And they had the most heated rivalry going because they're both hot-headed and they're both angry and just want to be the best.
Oh, wow.
So that's the kind of like personality Iris's Dragonite has. It is just ready for battle every step of the way.
Which is different to Ash, because like I've got a note here that just says, is Ash's Dragonite a fighter? Like, we've seen it battle, but like the rest of his team. So you think about Pikachu and everything Pikachu's been through. You think about Sirfetch'd. You think about Lucario and the Gengar. They're all Pokemon that seem to be really up for a fight. Dragonite's the one in Ash's team where I'm thinking, it doesn't seem like it's there. It almost seems like it's there just because it's like, oh, partnered with Ash and I want to go on an adventure. Not, I want to go with Ash because I want to battle strong Pokemon. I want to prove how strong I am.
Well, so let's not forget why she's there. Like, Dragonite joined Ash's team because he helped her evolve.
Yes.
And taught her how to fly. And like, she turned around and was like, oh, well, you make me better.
Yeah.
As a Pokemon, so I'll stick with you. And that's kind of brought up in this of like, you really like Ash. You really like traveling with him and battling something he loves. So you want to do that for him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. When Iris connected with Ash's Dragonite, I was in tears.
And when they hug.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
It's
just
adorable.
The idea of like, if you battle harder, not that he'll like you more, just the two of you will be more in sync with each other.
Yes.
And then that will help your bond grow. I was in floods of tears. It's so beautifully animated.
Yes.
It was such a lovely message.
It was.
Show.
I do as well. What I did like about this initial fight, one of the things I loved is it gave us a Dragonite-focused episode, which I don't think we've had in a long time. Dragonite's probably the one out of Ash's team that's probably had the least amount of development. Yes, but that's quite new. So I've got a feeling its time will come. Whereas Dragonite was the first one he caught, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? It might well have been, actually.
Gengar came after. Yeah. So the Dragonite was first, I think. So we needed some of this development. I do like the fact that, like, these two Dragonites sizing up. Ash's Dragonite cannot stand up against Iris's, and I love the fact that Ash realizes this. And go, okay, senses he can't win and goes, okay, right, I need to come up with another strategy. I need to do something else. And of course, in the process, Ash being Ash, it wouldn't be a gym fight if he didn't destroy the roof, because that's just what he did.
How he do.
It's just what he does. Like, what better way to show that Ash means business than destroying a roof? So,
I will also say I love the Dracovish love in this.
Yeah.
Like, it does one attack and then faints immediately, but it knocks out Iris's Dragonite. But it's great. It comes out, and the two Dragon-type masters of Unova are like, is that thing a dragon?
It's like, what? What is this?
What is that abomination you have brought to my fields?
You would, though, wouldn't you? You'd look at it and think, something's not right here. What kind of fever dream am I having?
Who broke you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm so glad that they've given Dracovish some love in this series. And Ash has a great strat to deal with the Dragonite. So he what's he do? He catches it with Vicious Rend. And then
sticks its head in its mouth.
That's it. It's just brilliant.
And it's like, oh, Iris, you can't communicate with it anymore because it can't hear you. And then she chooses Ice Fang. It's ridiculous.
It is absolutely fantastic. So, Iris brings out Dracovish. Haxorus.
Which, again, you didn't watch Best Wishes,
so
but like her partner Pokemon was Axew, and it was freaking adorable the whole time. And the fact that we finally get to see this thing as a Haxorus, that's so cool.
That's nice. So
cool. Did you watch much of Alola?
Little bits and pieces here and there.
Did you watch the bit where they go back to Kanto?
I don't think, is that the one where he battles
Brock and Misty?
I think I have seen, because Brock's got Steelix, hasn't he?
Because Brock's got a Steelix.
Yes.
He's got a Mega Steelix, so it's really cool to see like these past Pokemon, not just the traveling companions, but their Pokemon, who are just as much a part of the show, just as big a characters as the companions themselves, grow and evolve literally over time. Oh, it's so good.
It is. I absolutely love it. So the battle, it's a quick fight, like you mentioned, like two attacks. Dracovish is out, and Iris explains her reasoning. Basically, keep away from the Dracovish. Simple as that. Which I get that, because has it only got Water Gun? Is that something that's been established?
It's got Water Gun. It's got Ice Fang now, clearly.
Yeah.
And Vicious Rend. Those are the only moves we've seen it use.
One day.
Why has it got Water Gun, Ash?
I don't know. That was my question. It's fantastic.
It's a physical attacker. You know that.
Yeah, give it something a bit better, maybe. So both down to one Pokemon, Dragonite versus the Haxorus, and straight away, Dragonite isn't looking too good. It's already a little bit weakened from the first battle, and so a note I've got here: Go tells Ash to counterattack, which I'm a bit like, I hate when that happens, because I'm like, Ash is, I know that is there for the viewer. It's not there for Ash. It's there for the viewer to go, okay, right, this is how Ash is going to win. This is what is happening on screen right now. But surely there's a better way to present that. It infuriates me a little bit how Ash is positioned as this seasoned fighter who wins a lot of battles because of his bond with his Pokemon and his quick thinking and out of the yes. But then that gets almost knocked down a peg when you've got Go and other characters giving Ash advice or information that he should know. Like, he's that quality of a high quality of a trainer that he should know this.
I disagree.
Okay.
He's still a 10-year-old child in the heat of battle who needs his friend's support to just like focus him, to just bring that thought process back, bring him centered, and go, okay, actually, I can still come back from this. There is a strategy I can come up with. They never give him the answer because nobody can give Ash the answer to how to win the battle because only Ash can come up with those answers. Go is not sat there going, why don't you make a hurricane barrier and absorb all of this like dragon energy and then shoot it up into the sky and learn Draco Meteor out of nowhere? Go ain't saying that. It's just like, you can do it. And that's all Ash needs because Ash needs his friends.
Okay.
I do not see that as a negative.
Okay, right. I take fair point. I take your point. During the battle, Haxorus gets confused using Outrage and hits itself on purpose to stop the confusion.
Yeah, it was an odd addition. It's like, well, it gets confused. It's like, okay, good nod to the game, and then it just slaps its head against the ground. It's like, oh, it's no longer confused. I'm like, that's not how that works.
It's not how it works. It kind of makes sense in a weird way, in a weird, strange way. It kind of makes sense that it would snap itself out of its confusion. Yeah. But like you say, that's not how it works in the game. So, like, maybe stick to it. I don't know. And then during the battle, we have a really weird moment where Iris communicates with the Dragonite. Like,
yeah, because she doesn't care about winning or losing here. I mean, she does because she wants to beat Ash and she wants to climb the ranks. But
isn't this interference? Like, I know it's helping Ash, but isn't this interference? Like, how does that work? Like, what's the difference between? Ash is there. He's battling Leon's Charizard, and he's shouting Charizard, going, "You suck! You're useless! You overrated!" Like, what's the difference?
The difference is she can connect with Pokemon on an emotional level, and that's never seen as a bad thing.
Okay, fair enough. Is that like a magical ability she's got, or is it just...
Yeah, basically.
Okay, and that was in the Black and White series?
Yeah, she has the ability to, like, connect hearts with dragon types.
Oh, okay.
And get on with them on emotional level. That's why she was training to be a dragon type leader, because we know within the lore of Pokemon that dragon types are notoriously difficult to actually train. It's why she has such a leg up and such a strive to become a dragon master, because she can connect with them. Okay. So she's just slightly better at it than most people.
I like that. You've already touched on this, so my note is Ash, as always, uses some nonsense. Hurricane on itself to create a barrier, and then even more Hurricane, and finally redirecting Haxorus' attack to create Draco Meteor to devastating effect. So, again, love the fact that Ash just pulls something out of the box that you wouldn't expect, and you can do something in the anime that you can't do in the game. So Ash wins. He's ranked 99 in the Ultra class now. But I do have a question. So Iris is obviously a champion. So is this, like, would this news get out in Univert and this would be a major upset?
I think this actually might be the first champion Ash has ever beaten as well.
What other champions has he fought?
So I'm pretty sure he's fought Cynthia before. I think he's fought Steven. I think he's fought the X and Y champion. I always forget her name.
Oh, Diantha.
He's fought her before. I don't think he's ever beaten any of them.
Okay.
So would this be an upset? Possibly.
Because, like, how did she become... So in the anime, is it explained how she became champion?
Because she won the Unova League.
So is that a tournament style?
So, yeah. So much in the same way as Ash has taken part in, like, the Kanto League, the Johto League, the Hoenn League, and so on. He has been ranked across all those different regions' leagues. He is now taking part in the World Coronation Series, which is the best of the best of the best all over the world. Right. It'd be like, someone in the UK being a football player and winning the Champions League. So it's like, yeah, you're a champion, but now you're playing for England and you're going to the World Cup.
I get that.
Very, very different.
So the leagues are different. So what happens in one doesn't affect the other one. So maybe it wouldn't be a major upset then, because
the story would get out.
Yes, but it wouldn't affect her being the champion of that region, because it's a different tournament.
She will be champion until the next tournament comes around.
Okay, that makes sense. Right,
that's how it works in the anime. I don't think she's got to, like, defend her title.
Right. Okay. Should we move on to the final episode?
One last thing about this episode, and it really drove me mad when I was watching it. Drayden's voice. I was listening to it. and I was like, I know that voice. Why do I know that voice? It is Dr. Eggman.
Is it?
It's Dr. Eggman.
How did I miss that? I didn't pick up on that at all.
I was literally listening to it because I've just played Sonic Frontiers.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, why do I know that voice? It's got to be from something. And I looked it up. I was like,
now I know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, okay. So did it take you out of the episode because you were just trying to figure
No, not
it
at
out?
all. It was fine. It was different inflections.
Yes.
But it was just like bugging me at the back of my mind the whole time.
Like, who is this? I know that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Yeah, great episode.
Great, fantastic episode, which probably means we're not having another Ash battle next week.
Probably
if it's
not.
like anything that we've been doing so far. So, finally, episode 18, Under Color of Darkness. Masterful Baby evolution. However, one is missing. So I completely forgot that Go caught all 5 versions of the Flabébé, which, for those of you who don't know, there are 5 versions. Basically, the flower is different for each of them. And it's the white one that's missing, which is the rarest of them all.
Supposedly.
So they managed to track down the Flabébé, which it's missing a petal from its flower. So of course, Go, being a great trainer and all that, decides, let's just go off to Kalos for an adventure and try and find this flower. And
I'd love to be able to be like, oh, my dog lost its favorite toy. I guess we're flying to France to find a new one.
I was just like, okay, sure, right. It's just whatever. I need to move on from trying to work out like how this would work in the real world, because it's not the real world. I get it. One thing that I did like is Flabébé controlling Go via its hair. I mean, it's not really controlling it like Ratatouille is, but like just kind of goes playing along. Absolutely love it. And of course, Grookey gets involved, because why wouldn't it? Because it's always mischievous. So
what a little brat.
It is, isn't it? It's like,
he winds me up so much. Like, I get it, you're cute, you get away with it, but
like,
throttle it.
Yes, exactly. It is like, like if this, it's almost like, how you see some parents where they've got multiple children and there's that one child that can get away with murder. Like, that's what Grookey is right now. Grookey can get away with absolutely anything.
He's the youngest child as well.
He is,
yes. Of all 3 stars, he is the youngest child.
That's it.
He just gets away with it.
Do you think that's going to come back to bite him in the bum later on, not like disciplining it? Or do you think it's just going to be something that it phases out of when it evolves?
No idea.
Okay. Have to wait and see, won't we? So we end up at the original place where Flabébé found its flower, only to find that, of all things, a boulder has fallen on it. We continue to search, exploring the wild, and only to discover, I think it's at night, isn't it? Flabébe's disappeared, the white flowered Flabébé, and it's trying to make its broken flower work. This is a little bit heartbreaking, in my opinion. Like, I get that, like, just get another flower. Like, do you need a white flower? It doesn't matter, but it was a little bit heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, it clearly matters to the Flabébé. Yes. And I love that that's never, ever questioned by the team. They're just like, yeah, if it means that much to you, it means that much to us.
Definitely. It's adorable. One note I've got here is like almost the differences in episodes. If this was so Ash typically helps out random Pokemon that aren't on his team or his team. What I do like about these episodes is Go is helping Mons that he caught ages ago, and you haven't seen them, but it's obviously showing that he cares about all the Mons that he's caught.
Yeah, they're not just dumped in a box and left there.
Exactly, that's what I love, and the fact that all his Pokemon are wild in Cerise Park, and we've had loads of episodes just with different Pokemon. I know we've got some of the recurring Pokemon, mainly as starters, but for the most part, he's just cycling in and out of these different, dealing with these different Mons that he's got. So I do like that about this episode and other episodes as well. So as we progress, we find is it a Florges? Is that how you pronounce it?
Florges.
Florges. Helps out Go's Flabebe, as it too lost one of its flowers when it was younger. Now, this is a little bit different. It lost an orange flower, apparently, which is nearly as rare as white. So
just
we've got
as
some kind
rare,
of,
if not, yeah.
We've got some kind of like ranking system going on with flowers here. So sometime later, after a bit more exploring, the team come across some white flowers that bloom under the moonlight. And Flabebe uses grassy terrain, evolves, causing more white flowers to bloom, which I really enjoyed that. The fact that they take a flower, but it's almost ones of other mons have this issue in the future. What can we, and Flabebe is thinking about other mons as well. I quite like that.
Yeah, I like the sort of dex entries they read out for us. Like, Flabebe's carry flowers, Floette's race flowers, and then Florges's grow entire flower gardens for future Flabebe and things like that. So we see Go's one go from like, I want my own flower to it finds it and it's like, well, what if other Flabebe lose theirs? There's only one left here. That's not good enough. I might have to stay here and just tend to these very rare flowers now and make sure nothing happens to them so that future Flabebe who want white flowers can find them.
Yeah.
It's really sweet. And we get to see Go give up a Pokemon for the right reasons for once.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he has got 4 other Floettes, so he's not going without. But the fact that he just shows that yes, he wants to catch them all, but that doesn't mean he's going to force them all to stay with him.
Mm-hmm.
He actually, even though he's going for quantity, for lack of a better analogy, quantity over quality, which isn't the case, but the fact that he's just going for a wide range of Pokemon, whereas Ash is going for a smaller number of Pokemon, that doesn't mean that he cares about his Pokemon any less.
Yeah.
Like
and again, as I say, like, he's tried to give up Cinderace or Rabu or Scorbunny a couple of times now. And I think he's tried to give away another Pokemon as well. And it's never felt good. It's never felt like it was the right choice. Whereas this one very much came as like he was understanding what the Floette wanted.
Yes.
It wasn't, I think this is best for you, so I'm going to make the hard decision. It's like, no, you idiot. That's not how Pokemon work. Yeah. They will tell you what the right decision is, and you just need to listen.
Exactly.
And this time he did.
He did.
And I like it. I like the little bit of growth we're getting from Go.
Mm-hmm.
It's slow, but it's there.
It is. 3 great episodes. I really enjoyed discussing them this week. Are you up for playing a game?
I guess so.
Perfect. In front of me, I have 3 Pokemon with 3 Pokedex entries each. But Conor, can you spot the fake entry? So, up first is Absol. Pokedex entry number 1. Every time Absol appears before people, it is followed by a disaster, such as an earthquake or a tidal wave. As a result, it came to be known as the Disaster Pokemon. Pokedex entry number 2. It sharply senses even subtle changes in the sky and the land to predict natural disasters. It is a long-lived Pokemon that has a lifespan of 100 years.
Can you say that one again, please?
The full thing?
Yes, please.
Okay. It sharply senses even subtle changes in the sky and the land to predict natural...
Sharply senses?
It sharply senses even subtle changes in the sky and the land to predict natural disasters. It is a long-lived Pokemon that has a lifespan of 100 years. And
so that's top of the list.
Okay. Third and final Pokedex entry. Stop it! Third and final Pokedex entry. Driven into the mountains because of human misgivings towards it, Absol are known to spend many years living in solitude.
Do you mean it's sharp senses? Is that what you tried to write?
No, are you picking number 2?
I'm picking number 2.
It's not number 2.
It's not number 2?
It's not number 2. It's number 3.
How do you sharply sense something?
I don't know. Like, literally.
I sense it. Ow.
Sharply.
Ow. It hurts to sense these things. It's like a stabbing pain in my ribs. Like when you laugh too much. Ah! There's a disaster coming. Oh, well, I'll have to put up with it for another 90 years.
Hold on, right. I'm going back to just double check this. Yeah, it's in Emerald. It's in Emerald. It's a Pokedex entry that only is bizarrely only in one of the games. It's in Pokemon Emerald. And yeah, apparently sharply senses stuff. Even when I read that out, and you asked me to do it again, my first thought was, oh, I've just the Discord's broken up.
Butchered it a little bit.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, right. I hope that doesn't throw you off, because I was hoping I didn't mispronounce something and you think, oh, that's why that's the fake one, because he's written it wrong. But so that's the official one, I'm afraid.
It sharply senses.
Senses.
Sort it out, Pokemon.
What are you doing? So the second Pokemon is Haxorus. So Pokedex entry number 1. The tusks of Haxorus rarely look identical. This is because they grow larger as it expands its territory and fade in color as it grows older. Second Pokedex entry. While usually kind-hearted, it can be terrifying if angered. Tusks that can slice through steel beams are how Haxorus deals with its adversaries. Third and final Pokedex entry. Its resilient tusks are its pride and joy. It licks up dirt to take in the minerals it needs to keep its tusks in top condition.
Okay, I think I've read the third one. I'm going to go with the second one, because I'm pretty sure it's never kind. It's not a well-mannered Pokemon at all.
Okay, apparently it is. Number 2 is number 2 is a real Pokedex entry. Number 1's the fake one.
Number 1's the fake one. That was really well written.
Thank you.
I was listening to that like, man, I hope that's real, because that's really cool.
Thank you very much. I should write these. Come on, Game Freak.
You should. Some of them you should. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
I like that a lot.
Okay, let's see if you like the last one a lot. So the final Pokemon is Flabebe. So Pokedex entry number 1. It draws out and controls the hidden power of flowers. The flower Flabebe holds is most likely part of its body. Second Pokedex entry. Flabebe is a female-only species. However, there are occasional rumors of a male equivalent in a far-off region. And the third and final Pokedex entry. It's not safe without the power... Sorry, let me start that one again. Third Pokedex entry. It's not safe without the power of a flower, but it will keep traveling around until it finds one with the color and shape it wants.
This is a hard one, because the first one's incorrect.
Right.
The second one, I want to be one you've made up, because otherwise it's a really interesting Pokedex that I've actually got to look into.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one sounded fine. I'm going to go with the second one.
You're
right.
2
for all of them.
I
am
right.
Okay.
Well done. I
was like, that's a really cool bit of info. Have I not found that yet? Has nobody found that yet?
I was hoping the first one would. I was hoping either the first or third one would throw you off, because they kind of contradict one another. Because the first one's about the flower is apparently part of its body, whereas the third one is about how it'll travel around. And obviously, we've just seen the anime, and the anime isn't always but it depends what you class as part of your body. Like if you have an amputee and they have to have a prosthetic, is that prosthetic part of their body? Interesting question.
Interesting question. Probably the one we're not going to answer here, because it's way too philosophical. And we're on Pokemon podcast.
Yes, definitely. I thought you might get that. Like, honestly, when I was writing that one, I thought, okay, maybe the second one is just too unique of a Pokedex entry to not go for that one. But like, yeah,
honestly, it wasn't that it was too out there. It was the fact that it was like, there's no way I haven't heard about this.
I get that. And part of the reason I put that in there was just because we do have another region coming out, and maybe you were like, oh, maybe this is an entry from, Sword and Shield, and they're setting something up. But well done, you got 1 out of 3 this week. I thought that was a really good week, though.
I think you wrote some really good ones there.
Thank you.
I really like that Haxorus one.
Yeah, I'm so happy with how that one turned out. Perfect. Let's move on to comments and questions. We have just the one this week, which is actually from a couple of weeks ago that we missed out. Tony over on YouTube asked us, what's your guys' favorite tournament? Anime, sports, competitive? You decide. Have you got something for this?
I think, because I don't watch a lot of sport. There are 2 sports I watch. One is rugby. I will watch the 7 Nations.
Yeah.
I'll watch 7 Nations whenever that's on. And the other one, weirdly enough, 6 Nations. I was like, I said it, and I was like, that's wrong. That's the song. It's 6 Nations.
See, I don't know enough about rugby. I was a bit like, I thought it was 6, and then I thought, I'm not a rugby fan, mate. I'm not going to step in this and go, well, actually.
It was one of those where I had the song stuck in my head, Seven Nation Army, and then was like, that's not right, though. Hang on. So, yes, 6 Nations I will watch every year when that comes on, because it usually, especially when I used to be at university, I went to university in Wales, big rugby town kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the final day is usually coincides with St. Patrick's Day. So it was a great day to go out and drink and celebrate and just have a lot of fun. So 6 Nations I'll watch. And the other one, weirdly enough, whenever the Olympics comes round, I like the cycling.
Oh, okay.
I never follow it any other time. But whenever the Olympics is on, I really like watching the cycling.
Okay, right. I don't think I've ever really watched the cycling. The Olympics is one of those strange ones where I always, every time the Olympics is on, I will find myself watching something, but there isn't anything that I deviate to or go to every single time. It's like, oh, this is on the TV, this is on in the background, I'll watch that. In terms of like what my favorite tournaments are, I've got 2 answers to this. Only a couple of weeks ago, I played in a football tournament, absolutely loved it. By the end of it, I was shattered, but I really enjoyed the fact that I got to play against multiple teams in short competitive games. Absolutely fun. And then a long time ago now, when the Olympics was in London, one of my university friends got tickets to watch the indoor men's volleyball, which he asked me to go. I was like, you know what? Not really my kind of sport. Don't think I'll enjoy it. However, I'm not going to pass up seeing an Olympic Games in London. So went along to it. Oh my God, one of the most competitive and fun sports I have ever seen. So it plays a bit like tennis, where you have to score, and I don't know tennis that well either, so I'm sorry if I'm wrong, where like you have to typically win the last 2 sets, is it? Or the last 2 points?
You have to win 2 in a row.
Yes. So volleyball...
if it's even.
Yes. So volleyball follows that format. So the match just kept going on and on and on because neither team could get the advantage. And every time that one of them pulled ahead, it was like the other team like rose to the challenge, and like it just kept going on. It was fantastic. Loved it. Really enjoyed it. Absolutely shattered after, because going down to London and all that day and then watching it, it was just loads of fun. Really enjoyed it. So if you ever get a chance to watch some competitive sports, do it. It's always a good laugh.
Yeah, the atmosphere will always carry you, if nothing else.
Agreed. If you've got a comment or question, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube, by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com, or by leaving it on our Discord channel. I'll tell you what, shall we put out a shout out asking for people to give us their views on Scarlet and Violet?
Oh, very much so.
Yes.
Very much so.
So basically, play the game. Doesn't matter if you are 10 minutes into it, an hour into it, 10 hours into it. Probably just don't spoil anything, but just give us your initial thoughts on what you do or do not like about the game. That would be a great thing to discuss next week. Let's move on to plugging. What content have you got coming up? I think I can guess.
I'm going to be streaming the game all weekend.
There we go.
The plan is 8 hours Friday, Saturday, and probably 6 on Sunday.
Ooh, okay.
With some like multiplayer terror raids on Monday.
Very nice, very nice. I've got Friday booked off to record content with British Eagle. We're doing a cage lock. I cannot wait to do that because, like, this is going to make me fall in love with the Pokemon, I feel, because I'm gonna form those emotional bonds with them. These new Pokemon that I haven't seen before, that I give a nickname to, they inevitably die in the Nuzlocke. Really looking forward to that. And then I do want to try and fit in some streams as well. When I can. Yeah, that's the show for this week, and I cannot wait for next week. And if you've gotten this far, you're just a top dollar, aren't you? Conor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget, or on Twitter at CapFidget.
Perfect. And I'm Ben, and you can find me as Professor Hoenn Gaming on YouTube and Professor Hoenn on Twitter and Twitch. As for the Goldenrod Podcast, you can find us on the usual platforms. Search for Goldenrod Podcast on YouTube or on your usual podcast app. Leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review if you're listening as a podcast. We'll be back next Friday for another week of Pokemon podcast content.
See ya!